Welcome in to your favorite show, Views from the Stands. I'm your host, Stevie B, Steve Brennan, and we are just riding solo today with my guy, BC, man. It's baseball season's coming up, so we're going to have a lot of fun with that. So we're hoping that you guys have fun as well. We're really glad you guys showed up on a Saturday morning. Welcome, enjoy your coffee, and enjoy some sports. Mr. BC, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good, dude. I already got my coffee in this morning. I got my breakfast in, so I'm ready to talk some sports, talk some baseball on the diamond, get a little bit of some football news as well. It's going to be a good time, man.
Absolutely, man. So we have a fun-filled show for you today. Free agency has come and gone, so we're going to go ahead and break down our winners and losers. We're going to go ahead and break down, since baseball season is right around the corner, like we mentioned before, we're going to break down the division winners for each of the divisions in the league, and then obviously our World Series pick. And then we're also going to end it with a really fun any era debate of baseball. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We really hope you guys can join us with that. Mr. BC, I know you got a lot of stuff going on. Why don't you go let the people know what you have going on, my man?
I mean, if I had the whole show to tell you, it still would not be enough. But to summarize it real quick, the missus and I, we've got our little small business. You guys already know we're about 33 episodes in at this point. Brandest.media, we got your wedding photography and videography, your engagement photography and videography. We got family formals, senior portraits. It's coming right around the corner, by the way. It's March. Graduation's coming up soon. We handle all those things. We want to help make memories that last a lifetime. You guys want to check us out? It's It's Brandest.media. We got our portfolio on there. Check it out. See if we're what you want. And give us a holler, man. We're Central Florida's premier photography, videography couple. We make memories that last a lifetime.
Absolutely, man. I want to give also a special shout out to our guys out there at Varsity Sports Nation. They have been helping us out with promoting, and they have a really good company going. They're Central Florida based, and you can get them on your iOS, your app, Android, Fire TV, Fire Stick, anything that you can pretty much think of. They're on there, man. If you want high school sports, you want college sports, man, they're on there. They're a premier destination. You can also catch us on demand on there. So please check them out. Give them a like and subscribe. And while you're already checking them out, please give us a like and subscribe as well. We really appreciate everything you guys do for us and continue to support the show. So really appreciate that. The easiest way to find us, obviously, click the bell, and you'll know every single time that we're going live.
Yes,
all right, brother. Well, we got that out the way, got the bills paid. So let's go ahead and get into some sports. What do you think, man?
I'm ready to roll, man. Let's do it.
All right. We had some big news coming out of the NBA, man. Our guy, Steph Curry, has finally hit 4,000 threes. Can you say that out loud again? 4,000 threes, man. That is absolutely insane. The kid from Davidson College, man. What an amazing career this kid has had. I think as of now, if he already didn't give him enough praise already, he's got to start reaching into that GOAT status, right? Like, he's getting it to that level to where he could be – you got to put him on your Mount Rushmore possibly now because of what everything Steph brings to the game and everything that he does, man. What's your thoughts on the 4,000? That is insane.
I mean, for what the game is today, it's probably the biggest accomplishment, like him and LeBron, what they've done in the last couple of years. 40,000 points, 4,000 threes, like that. It's a really one-of-one comparison. He is one of the greatest players of all time. He's one of the best players of this generation easily. And again, this game is so centered around threes. He is the guy that really started a lot of that. He started not just shooting 3-pointers off the catch and shoot, but he also off the dribble. The scoring gravity, the amount of movement that he does off the ball to be able to generate those threes. The game really has evolved because of him. And I would agree. I think that he belongs in that top 10 conversation for all-time great players. I think that you can make an argument for him being on the Mount Rushmore in terms of influence because the amount of players that have influence and changed the game, guys like Jordan, guys like LeBron, he is on that because the game literally evolved with him. We talk about it. Jordan being able to take the game to new heights, LeBron being able to kind of morph basketball into a positionless game, and now Steph Curry adding so much range and movement off ball. It's been amazing to see, and I think that he definitely it's another feather in the cap, and he already is the greatest shooter of all time, undisputed. I think we were talking about before the show, the next closest guy is Harden at like 3,000, and he's not going to catch Steph Curry.
Yeah, but as of right now, so that it goes James Harden with 3,127, Ray Allen 2,973, Damian Lillard 2,794, Klay Thompson 2,667. Obviously, Ray Allen is retired at this point, so he's not going to be adding anything to it. Harden is close. I just don't foresee Harden being able to catch him because the way Steph plays, he's still active. And is it possible that he's going to catch 5,000 before he's done?
I don't. He'd have to average. I could see him probably playing at a high level for another 3 to 4 years, maybe. I don't know necessarily if his body will hold up to age 40. Maybe, I mean, his game could very well take him there. I just
He
don't
just
know.
turned 37 on Friday.
Okay, so I've got him a lot younger than that. So I could be wrong, but I just think that probably 4,500 is going to be the safer bet at this point. I mean, if he's watching this and he hears me and he proves me wrong, I'm all good for that. But I think 4,500 is kind of a safe bet for his like career 3-pointers. But again, he's far and wide greatest shooter of all time. Like nobody can debate that at all. Like 3-pointers were not talked about. Like Kobe held the record for most threes in a game, and then Steph came along, blew that out the water. Ray Allen, kind of the same thing. They never generated 3-pointers at this volume, at
Yeah.
this efficiency, the way Steph has. And again, off-ball movement too on offense, scoring gravity.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things about Steph as well is just the simple fact of if they had a hockey assist, Steph would have to be on there because Steph creates double teams all over the place, and he's one of the most active point guards in history. You never see him stop. The only person I really see him do is Reggie Miller, possibly, that would move around as much as he does. So as soon as the ball's out of his hands, he's not just standing still. He's constantly running around. Players hate guarding him because you have to be in great shape to be able to guard that kid. And what's wild, too, is that you literally have to guard him as soon as he steps cross half court. And hell, even at half court, you have to put pressure on him because he can make it in the gym, anywhere in the gym. I always heard a funny term of it, in the gym range, meaning if he's in the gym, he can hit a shot. And it's just super impressive what he's been able to do in his entire career. Started off a little bit slow. Can you imagine if he didn't have those injured years in the beginning with his ankles, what his numbers would be?
Oh yeah, no. If he wasn't hurt, I would definitely say 5,000 is just a given at this point.
Yeah,
but and that is the one thing for me that kind of there's a little bit of hesitation as he does get older. Again, he has been used a lot strictly on offense. I know, especially with getting Jimmy Butler, it's allowed him to focus more on his game on offense. He doesn't have to carry. Yeah, he doesn't have to carry as much, especially when going inside. He can just run around more off ball. And then defensively, he doesn't have to, put as much of his attention there. So it is good for him, like this move for Butler. But yeah, I still see though, like at some point he is gonna start slowing down. Shooting will never fade for him, so I don't think that's gonna be the issue. I just think that the ankle problems that plagued him a lot as when he was younger, I think that they might start flaring back up again as he gets older. But again, we'll see how he takes care of his body. Maybe he's starting to invest in a little bit in the same people that have kept LeBron going all these years. I'd love to see it. I want to see these two kind of be like the eternal rivals that just don't, when one goes, that's when the other goes.
One last thing on Steph. Do you think Steph will ever be just like a off the bench guy? Like, do you think he could, because like you were saying, shooting's never going to go anywhere. Steph is obviously, he's not a bench guy, but I feel like with Steph's attitude and how he approaches the game, he doesn't seem like that much of a diva. Your shooting's never going to go away. He's not also going to lose his shot. Now his ankles, like you're saying, his body might give out a little bit more, but how awesome would that be? Middle of the second quarter, you got your flamethrower coming in and he's just going to shoot threes the whole time. And he could easily go to average like 15 points, 5 threes in a game, no problem for him. Do you think he could be like that, or do you think he's done?
I think that it's probably going to lean more towards that he's done, just because I think that he has grown as that alpha guy. Like, yeah, he's been basically Mr. Warrior his whole career.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I could see him potentially, being willing to sacrifice if it means getting another championship. I could see it, but if it's more of, the team's kind of doing a rebuild, I don't think he's going to come off the bench for that. I think that's like, okay, my time's done. But I wouldn't mind seeing that, especially, give the man a 6th man of the year or something like that. That's another feather in the cap, like something just to add to his resume. I mean, he's a selfless player, but I do think that he has that alpha mentality of, if I'm not the best player, if I can't be the best player on the court, or at least good enough to start, I want to end it. So.
Yeah, I could definitely say it's just an interesting thought because of that he's able to, shoot so well that that's not going to go anywhere. As you age, he could just maybe coming off the bench. But I kind of agree. But it'd just be kind of cool to see him. The other thing is too is he doesn't need to chase rings. He already has 4 rings already. Possibly the way the Warriors are playing, he could be contending for another one this year, possibly, or even next. But yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting concept. Like, imagine Steph coming off the bench. You're like, what are you going to do? You're going to have all your second-rate guys in there, and Steph's just shooting threes all over the place. It'd be kind of cool to see.
I also would have loved to have seen Jimmy Butler on this team like a few years ago when he was team hopping as much as he was. That would have been before he got to Miami. Like that, imagine starting lineup of like Steph, Clay, KD, Jimmy, and Draymond. That you talk about far and beyond the greatest team of all time, easily.
Yeah, easily. All right, man. We're just going to move on from Steph Curry and to another news coming out of Tampa. This is near and dear to your heart, my man. The Tampa Bay Rays have announced this week that they are backing out of the reported $1.3 billion deal to rebuild Tropicana Field. I know this is a big thing for you, man, BC. You work with the Rays. No, they cannot speak with you ill will, but this is big news, man. What's your thoughts on this, and what do you think of this?
I mean, it's devastating to hear. Like when you first read the reports and everything, because all of this work that's been done since the end of 2023. They had the whole here to stay announcement. They had the ceremony, the placard, the T-shirts. Like it was all the advertisement. It was all over Tampa Bay, all over St. Pete, and it is understandable, for things to kind of come in and maybe be ruined a little bit with the hurricane, like that. That's something nobody could have predicted.
No.
But just to kind of see the talks deteriorate all of a sudden with just because of a hurricane came through, which, I get it. It ruined the stadium. It might have set you back and stuff like that as owners, but at the same time, it's like everybody's been affected by the storm. And for them to kind of back out of it, it's devastating. And I know a lot of fans are upset at it. I'm a little upset at it. But to maybe find some silver lining in it, I do know that Rob Manfred and MLB, they want to keep the team in the Tampa Bay area. There's been numerous groups, from Tampa Bay and also more, a little more northeast in Florida, more close to Orlando. There's been numerous organizations that want to buy the team, that want to purchase it from Stu. MLB is kind of pushing Stu to sell at this point, which, I mean, if you're Stu Sternberg, you've already backed out of the deal. The city is kind of already upset at you. You really don't have any other choices at this point. Tampa's already shown that they won't really negotiate with you either. I would just say sell it to the highest bidder. Just sell to the best possible group that you can. Make your money and just enjoy being a multi-billionaire,
Right,
at this
yeah.
point, And I will say for the team or for the organizations that want to purchase the team, I think that, just in my ideal little fantasy world right here, we'll call it, let's say, I feel like the way that this could go is there's going to be a group in Tampa Bay that's going to keep the team in Tampa. I think that they'll renegotiate talks with them. It's a new ownership group. It's completely different. They might be able to fund a little bit more for the new stadium as opposed to what Sternberg and them were able to get before. I think that will help kind of solidify the team in Tampa, maybe put it by Ybor City. I think that's a great area for a baseball stadium. You got a lot of the Hispanic players, big Hispanic community there. I think it would be a very vibrant, not just ballpark, but they also want to make it like a complex, an entire area. And I think that would be really cool. And then I think I could see that group as well, maybe not, trying to burn any bridges with St. Pete, being like, hey, you guys have been good to this team for 25 plus years. We want to rebuild the Trop roof, make it good for the next couple of years, honor the commitment that the team originally signed with the team or with the stadium. And we want to play out our years there. And then before we move across, just so that way that it kind of does mend a little bit of the bridges that were burned.
Yeah, I kind of think it's one of those, like you were saying, with the bridges being burned. I think it's kind of over in Tampa. I think that Tampa Bay never really had that much of a great following with the fans, as much as they should have. And I never really understood why Tampa Bay always struggled for attendance, except whenever they would play the rival teams, such as the Red Sox, Yankees. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the big reason for that, there's a couple different reasons. Number one, because again, the location. Like, listen, I grew up in Pinellas County for the first 6-7 years of my life. So that was my first home. But in Tampa Bay, we all know the central hub of that region has been Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Putting the stadium in St. Pete, where it's just not the same. And people will say no, it's just not. There's more people in Tampa. There's more businesses in Tampa. There is just more revenue, and it's also more centrally located. You can bring in not just people from St. Pete to come to games, people from Lakeland, people from Orlando do make the drive to go to Lightning and Bucks games from Central Florida, and it's also the place to be in this region.
You go to area, but Tampa Bay it's different.
Yeah, it just is. And it's not, you're not trying to be rude when you say this. You're just trying to point out the facts.
Right.
And so, it's like in real estate, it's all about location. But on top of that, Tampa itself has been kind of a hub for the Yankees at this point because they have Steinbrenner Field where the Rays are going to be playing at this year.
Mhm.
They have like the Yankees were smart. I hate them for it because I can't, they're like my most hated
Right.
rival. So it's like, but they were smart. They set up a base in the biggest city on this side of Florida. So they picked it smart. That's why they have such the following there, and that's why the Rays have struggled. But I could see what you're saying where it might, the bridge might be burned for Tampa. They just might not want anything to do with the Rays. I know Mayor Castor for the city has said, we could pursue a deal still with the new ownership group. It just has to make sense for taxpayers. So I think that's her sign. Mayor Welch with St. Pete is kind of like he's more of the. I don't really think we want to pursue a new deal with any groups at this point. He's kind of out, and it's
Yeah.
understandable. Like
Right.
to have the rug pulled out like that and to kind of have ownership acting the way they have, it is what it is.
Yeah,
But
I think the storm just kind of helped out with
yeah,
them. I think they were already kind of contemplating. They had that beautiful design for that new stadium and stuff. Deep down, I don't think they ever wanted to do it. I think they've been trying to get out of Tampa, St. Pete, excuse me, for quite some time. And then adding damage to the storm, now we have to drop another $1 billion before we even get started on construction. I think that was the writing was on the wall that they were just looking for a reason to get out.
yeah. I think whichever ownership group buys the Rays, if they're going to stay in Tampa, what they need to do is they need to be willing to pay more money up front for the stadium, not rely as much on public money,
Yeah.
taxpayer dollars.
Right.
They need to be willing to do that, and if they can do that, then I think that there is, and they also, I think, like I said, they need to be willing to repair the damage to the Trop roof themselves, not put anything more on the city, and be like, hey, we want to kind of repair some damage that was done. We want to start off on the right foot here, and we want to kind of rebuild a relationship and make it prosperous for this area.
Yeah, and that's all based off if it's going to stay in Tampa Bay. Now, let's play devil's advocate and the other side of the coin here. Orlando has been wanting a baseball team, and also Nashville has been pushing really hard to get a team. In fact, I think they already started coming out logos. Nashville seems like a big spot that should be that's next on the totem pole to possibly get a team. What do you think would work out? Do you think Orlando could be the spot for the Rays? What do you think logistically? You think that would be better off for the Rays organization? It'd be a new rebuild. Orlando has already tried to push for it. Some of the names they've thrown out there is the Orlando Dreamers. We were talking about before. I don't like that name very much. I think it kind of sounds like a made up fake name. But I mean, you can come up with something else if you want to. But I think it would work in Orlando. I think Orlando is starting for another organization. They prefer an NFL team, but they can start with baseball. And if it works for baseball, they would clearly probably work for NFL as well. What's your thoughts on that? You think Orlando is in play to get the Rays, or do you think it's Tampa Bay or nothing?
No, I think if Tampa falls through, if it's impossible to go there, then I think Orlando makes much more sense than Nashville. Orlando's already the biggest. From what my research was, they are the biggest market in the United States that does not have a baseball team. So Nashville, it's fine, but there's not as much in Nashville as there is Orlando. Orlando, you've got the tourism areas with all the theme parks. That's why they want to call it the Dreamers. It's where dreams come true. The sponsorships you could get with Disney, with Universal, with SeaWorld. Apparently, that's where the stadium they want to put it at is by that SeaWorld area.
I can't imagine the traffic off of iDrive, though. It's already congested as hell to begin with. You add a team over there, that'd be insane.
That is the one downside to it, is that traffic is so bad in that area. But again, if they can make it work and make it happen, that would probably be my fallback option. I would, again, obviously being in Central Florida, I'd want it to stay in Central Florida, and I think that Commissioner Manfred wants to keep it. If he can't have it in Tampa Bay, he doesn't want it to go to a completely different market because he does like the Central Florida region. There is a lot of money to be made here. It's just about who's in charge and who's running the team.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think Orlando kind of gets forgotten about how large of a city it is and how much stuff is going on in Orlando. I think a lot of people just only think of Disney and that's it. That's the only thing, but that's technically outside of even where the stadium would be. I think if they're ever going to build it, I think it would be around the Disney property, probably where like the ESPN area is that they have already going on over there, maybe in the Kissimmee area, but still. Orlando could easily handle that, and I think he would do well here. They would have to obviously build, I think, another indoor stadium because who the hell's going to want to sit outside in
yeah.
Florida heat with the humidity in the middle of summer when the games are going on? So you
Right,
have to
we're
build a
about
new
to find
stadium for
out.
that. But luckily, you have Disney, you have all the theme parks that have endless amounts of money and would love to put
Yeah.
their logo and their name on everything. So
Yeah.
I think
Well,
Orlando is a great spot for it.
Well, and also the stadium renderings, it would be a dome stadium. It's like a glass domed roof type of setup. That's the
Yeah,
renderings that we've seen. And it's not just the stadium. It's also, like we said, baseball parks now. It's not just the ball field. It's an entire complex,
exactly.
shopping centers, apartment complexes, office space, a lot of stuff to put out there. And I mean, I I think it would be interesting if they put it by Disney. Obviously, everyone's gonna think that because it's the biggest theme park of the bunch. I think they wouldn't though, just because again we talked about traffic being a big issue. Putting it right in the middle where ESPN Wild World of Sports is only gonna make it worse. But I still could see those stadiums serving a purpose as like maybe a spring training or as a minor league facility as well. Because then again, you talk about they might maybe make their AAA team or their AA team right there. Because then you talk about like if
Right.
somebody gets called up, they literally just have to go right down the
Yeah,
road.
the Braves are already using the Orlando, the
Oh,
ESPN complex as their spring training, so you could easily have a minor
oh,
league team
oh no, they moved
going
out.
there.
They moved out of there.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, man, it's been a little bit. They built a new complex in Northport. I want to say it's like
Really?
by
Okay.
yes, I mean, it's a gorgeous complex. Like they basically made it like mini. I think it's Truist Park is the name of the one in Atlanta. So like they made it like a little mini battery up there. That's what they called it. But yeah, ESPN Wide World of Sports is wide open. So I could see.
Interesting. I
I
thought that's where they're still playing there.
No, but I could see the Dreamers do it if that's what they keep it. They could do something where that's
Maybe.
their spring training home, that's their minor league home, and again, we've seen it with the Magic. They moved G League team closer to Orlando, so that way it's easier for their call ups to get there. Same thing. You got your AAA squad in Orlando or in Kissimmee. You've got your major league team in Orlando. It's literally like 30 minutes away. So much easier to do call ups.
Yeah, 100%. Real quick, if they do move to Orlando, what would be a favorite name for you? I hate the Dreamers name. I can't get over that one. That one's Sam Slade. Real quick, you got anything off the top of your head that'd be a cool name for him?
Not really. I mean, you mentioned it, the Apollos, because of the
I like that one. I mean, we've already
yeah,
tried that. They tried that with the XFL a team or something like that, or whatever that team was. Didn't do very well. So they don't
yeah.
really want that karma, but
I mean, it's one of those things like it as cheesy as it sounds, it is a pretty fitting name for the region just because again, it's Disney, it's where dreams come true, it's where like even
yeah,
Universal, it's a place of imagination, excitement, wonder. Like that's what it is. So I mean, it as cheesy it is, I feel like it could be one of those names that kind of grows on you over time, like yeah, yeah, like Devil
yeah,
Rays.
and they could probably do it. They could probably do a whole bunch of great ad campaigns with it. Dreams and all this stuff like that or something. Called the Orlando I4s. I don't know who the hell knows.
Yeah, they need to get if they do it, you got to find the sponsor on the jersey needs to be one of the parks. If it's not one of the parks, you've done something wrong.
Yeah, 100% agree. All right, man. We're just going to go ahead and jump from baseball. We'll have a lot more baseball talk coming up, but we're going to go ahead and recap free agency here, man. And free agency was exciting this year. There was a lot of big signings. So basically, you've already heard, I'm sure, because if you're watching this, you listen to sports. You've already heard all the big names, everything going everywhere. So we're not going to bore you with going back over that. But what we are going to do is we are going to pick a winner and a loser, a player and a team. So, Mr. BC, go ahead and start with you with yours. If you want to go ahead and go over your Bucks, what they did, and then jump into it, or however you want to take it, man. The floor is yours.
I mean, spoiler alert, the Bucks are probably one of my biggest winners in free agency, so it's like, yeah, I'll talk about them. I mean, re-signing Chris Godwin. Everyone who said that Chris Godwin was going to go elsewhere, it's like I'm telling you, you're wrong. Everybody that thinks that all the Bucks free agents are going to go pursue money elsewhere, for the most part, you're wrong. Like the team has built a core and a culture around winning and being together. So, yeah, I called it. A lot of people called it. Like Chris Godwin re-signed. I think he was offered like 20+ million a year with the Patriots, and he turned
Yeah,
it down because he didn't want to go play the rest of his career playing in obscurity, playing in a team that's not going to be anywhere close to the Super Bowl. So, re-signing him, signing Hassan Reddick. I'm not entirely sold on the move just because Reddick has kind of, I think, been middle of the pack as a pass rusher the last couple of years. He did lead the league in forced fumbles a few seasons ago. I think he had like 17 sacks or whatever a little while back too. Um, But I do think that it's still like your biggest need is doing your biggest need in free agency has been needing a pass rusher, and I think that he will be good, not necessarily as a number one guy, but definitely can be a veteran that can help Yaya Diaby develop. I think Diaby still has number one, pass rusher potential. But signing him was a big move. Re-signing Levante David, convincing him to come back for another season was a big move as well. So that really helps us out. And then just making some depth additions here and there along offensive line, along cornerbacks, and then along middle linebackers too. So I think it was a pretty successful offseason. I would say that, we kept a lot of our guys in house. A lot of them, again, internal free agents. So it's like, oh well, they didn't make a big splash. Well, re-signing a lot of our guys was a big splash. So
Yeah, I don't think Godwin was. I don't really, in all actuality, I don't think he was ever going to go anywhere anyway, especially with that injury. He was having a great year. He seems to love Tampa Bay and playing with Mike
yeah,
Evans and Baker. So I think that was a smart move for him. And if you must really want to be there, if you're throwing $20 million pretty much out the window to stay with an organization, you must really love and respect what they're doing down there. So that's a big move for them.
well
I liked what they did with their offseason.
well that in New England as well is just like such a horrible place to be right now. So it's like, yeah, here's 20 million. What again? You're not a premium team. You got to kind of pay the price to get these free agents. But it's like, again, how many Pro Bowls? He's made like one or two Pro Bowls. He's won the Super Bowl. Been to countless playoff games. Like, why would you throw that away as you're getting past your age 30 season for what, an extra $5 million a year? It's not worth it.
Yeah, you can't buy happiness sometimes, and I think he was where he wanted to be in there. So, I agree. I think that was a really good move and for them, and I think that getting Hassan Reddick is an interesting move as well because they basically signed him to a 1-year prove-it deal, and that seems like that's been like the theme of this offseason. If you notice, that a lot of players are doing this 1-year deals, the prove-it deals, and they find out if they're a fit. I think Hassan Reddick has a lot to prove. He is one of the top rushers in the league, and on top of it too, he had kind of a down year, and that was partially because of contract dispute, and he was on the Jets, and they obviously just didn't have that great of a season. But when he did come back and play, he still looked like he had it. He still looked like he was good, but. I think that's a good move for them. You get a hungry player that wants to get that contract. He's still young. He's not old or anything like that. He was just
28 or 29, I want to say.
Right, so you could get him easily on like a 2 to 3 year contract, no problem after the season, and he'll still be in that ripe age that you want him to be at. So I think it's a good move all around for Tampa Bay as well.
Very much a Shaq Barrett kind of deal for sure.
Exactly.
Like, remember the year they signed him? They plucked him out of obscurity with the Broncos, and he ended up setting the team record for sacks.
Exactly.
And again, he was a guy that, he could have signed in free agency after that, but he chose to stay in Tampa because it was a place that gave him a shot. And with Reddick, though, too, like I said, and also another thing that we're not really talking about with him, he only cost $14 million to sign. If the Bucs were going to go after a Myles Garrett or a Trey Hendrickson, not only were they going to have to trade north, or they were going to have north of $20 million invested into them, but you're also talking about having to trade a first or a second or a third round pick to get them. They just got to sign Reddick for free.
Yeah, essentially they did. They certainly did, and I think that he's going to be a good player for them. And you mentioned as well, you got a young line up there, and help him develop. Reddick has been a fantastic player. I think that's all around. He's been a fantastic player.
Yep.
So is that your winner for free agency as far as a team, or you're just going over what the Bucs did?
I think for me that's going to be my winner for an organization. I'm biased, but it's just I think when you look at the free agency as a whole, not just by one or two moves, but I think what the team was able to accomplish in terms of their own free agents that are key parts of the team, and then also to re-signing or signing additional pieces that will help either make an impact or add depth. I think that the Bucs pretty much are if they're not my number one, they're like top two. Winners of free agency. And then I would say Chris Godwin as well, as a winner as well, because again, dude was he didn't get north of 20 million that he wanted to, but he also stayed in the team that has been the most productive for him. And on top of that, he didn't lose that much money in terms of getting paid. I think they still gave him about 18 million a year, which for the season he was having up until that point, he was like first or second in the league in every statistical category for wide receiver. Like, he could have easily won the Triple Crown had he not been hurt. I think that's a steal for the Bucs, but I still think, again, he got paid. He made great money for what he's worth, and he's going to be in a program or in a team, an organization that will continue to feed him and will continue to take care of him and provide him all the production that he needs.
Yeah, no, I agree. Chris Godwin is definitely it worked out. He was had a gruesome injury at the end of the year, clearly, and to be able to get re-signed and be able to stay with the team that you wanted to
Yeah.
stay with is definitely
Yeah.
good. So I would consider him definitely a winner in that.
Yeah. And
If I
there's
had to go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and there's probably a lot of maybe outside of the Patriots, there might not have been a lot of teams that would have given that kind of money to him anyway, because they could see him as damaged goods. Like, do we really want to invest in it? But Bucks still honor their commitments to him, and they take care of him. So
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think the Bucks are seem like they're a well-run organization, and they seem like they're on the right track. Clearly, after losing Brady, they didn't really lose much. Baker came in, has been a godsend for them. Really, he's got a good contract. That it's similar to the contract that Sam Darnold just signed with the Seahawks. Around about the same amount, 3 years, $100 million, somewhere in that general area. No, I think the Bucks definitely had a good offseason so far. We saw the draft as well. If I had to pick a team, I think that is a winner in free agency in that whole period, it's going to be the Chicago Bears. I think the Chicago Bears did a hell of a job because they did exactly what they needed to do so far. And they still have number 10 pick, I believe it is, in the NFL draft coming up, and they have more room to go. But they're clearly had a glaring need for offensive linemen last year. They had, correct me if I'm wrong, but they had one of the most sacked teams in the league.
Oh, no, for
So
sure.
they went and got a super smart player in Joe Tooney. They traded for a center out of I believe he was like PFF's number 2 rated center in the league from the Falcons. They also signed an offensive lineman and a guard. Excuse me. I'm trying to catch over a cold. Sorry. Anyways, yeah, so I think the Chicago Bears did the best in free agency by addressing exactly what they needed. They also signed a couple of defensive players, and they have plenty of room to go. I love them going after guards and linemen. And if you notice, it's exactly what since Ben Johnson took over, he's trying to recreate what the Detroit Lions did. And the Detroit Lions, for a little while, only drafted pretty much offensive line because they realized what they had to do. Now, this really comes down to where you really find out what Caleb Williams is. He was under duress a whole bunch last year. So I think with them signing a bunch of offensive linemen, and I think it can't go understated, Joe Tooney is one of the smartest players in the league as far as like books wise as well as a great football player. So I think that's a huge pickup for a young quarterback. He's played with everybody from Patrick Mahomes to Tom Brady as well. So like the guy knows what the hell he's doing. And so I think the Chicago Bears had a hell of an offseason so far with signing.
Yeah,
to try and maybe possibly re-sign Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's getting a little bit older. He was a little bit injured. If you let Keenan Allen go, I don't think it's going to be super detrimental to the team. But I love what they did by addressing all the offensive line, and they still got more to go. So I would say that would be my winner for free agency. Would be as a team would be the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, and you can also shout out that too as well to the Commanders for getting Debo Samuel. That was big.
That was a huge pickup.
Yeah, so there's been quite a few winners now. It's kind of shifted. Or would you say Caleb Williams would be your biggest, I guess, winner in free agency because of all the signings, or do you got somebody else as far as the biggest winner?
Caleb Williams would definitely be one of the top, I feel like, as far as a player goes. I was going to agree with you on Chris Godwin. I think Chris Godwin really that really secured him, especially coming off the injury. Wow, say a little faster, Steve. Anyways, I think Caleb Williams was definitely a winner because he's going to get that line and finally be able to move around. So yeah, I think Caleb Williams is probably my biggest winner as far as not getting signed anywhere else, really. But I think Caleb Williams definitely did really well for himself.
Yeah. Would you say as well? I think, again, we talked about it just with Debo going to the commies as well. You got such a great young dynamic quarterback in Jaden Daniels who can sling the ball. Yeah, that offense looked really scary. That offense looked really scary last year, and you got Cliff Kingsbury running the show there. Exactly. I think that's going to be something where, again, he's such a multi-faceted, like Swiss Army knife. I think Washington's going to have a field day because they love their versatility there. They love you have probably the most versatile quarterback outside of Lamar Jackson. Pairing him with perhaps the most versatile weapon outside of like a Tyreek Hill in the league. So I think it's going to pay dividends as well for the commies. Yeah,
they only gave up a 5th round pick for it, which was wild. And on top of it too, you have to take in consideration that Debo is on a contract year. He's so far they only have him for 1 year, and he's going to want to get paid. He's getting a little bit up in age, and he had an injury-riddled season last year, so he's not maybe trying to prove that he's not missing a step, and it was mainly that he was sick. There was rumors that he had pneumonia. There was a lot of just different rumors of what was going on with Debo last year. San Francisco is a very interesting team. I don't know what they have going on really. I guess they're trying to make room for Brock Purdy. the
Oh, for
contract,
sure.
but that's the only thing I can explain because otherwise they're dumping guys left and right. I was really surprised at some of the moves the 49ers did. That they just did. They're getting rid of some foundational pieces, and I don't think they're necessarily done. I think Brandon Ayuk might be next. I think they have buyer's remorse for signing that huge contract, and I think they're just going to maybe rebuild.
Yeah, you kind of have to at this point, which sucks for Brock Purdy. You know, he's supposed to be like the Mr. Irrelevant, the darling of the league, like coming in out of obscurity, and supposed to be the next great 49ers quarterback. And within like 2 seasons of that, it just seems like it's all going up in smoke now.
Yeah, they had to get younger. But
Yeah.
all right, well, if we had to, we picked winners. So of course you always have to have a loser, and I'll let you go ahead and start with who do you think did not do so well in free agency, if you will.
I mean, you could say the 49ers, honestly, for a team, but then also I'm very tempted to include the Cleveland Browns in that one. And Miles, you know what? It's a package deal. Cleveland Browns and Myles Garrett. For all the talk about, I didn't come into this league to just play for one city. I want to win.
Yeah.
And all this talk about going elsewhere, granting a trade clause, and you literally just took more money to go back to your team. And then you're the Browns, you're literally paying Deshaun Watson so much money. That's all guaranteed. And then you pair that with all this money in Myles Garrett, who we already know doesn't really want to be there. It's like, congratulations, you played yourself on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so if I had to pick a loser in free agency, it'd be the Jacksonville Jaguars. They made some really questionable decisions. I don't really understand releasing Evan Ingram. Why they did that one? They traded Christian Kirk, and they ended up replacing him with De'Ami Brown, I believe, from the Commanders, who is a 3 at best. And they gave him a large contract. That one made no sense to me at all. Maybe that 25-year-old kid that only watched football since the iPhone has been made doesn't necessarily know what he's got going on there up there in Jacksonville, man.
Ball.
You're already off. The fans can't be excited about what you have going on there. That whole press conference was a mess. You signed this super young kid to be your GM, and then you're releasing players, trading away players. Don't pretty much sign anybody significant. I don't know. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, their offseason was kind of a mess.
But I did, but I made this deal in Madden, and it all made sense there. Star ratings and the overalls and the AI.
Yeah. It's weird, man. I don't understand what the hell they were doing. And but kind of funny, you did bring up Debo. Speaking of Madden, I did try that trade and in Madden, and they denied it.
Well, that's the funny
for Debo, and they said no.
Yeah, ratings adjusters, if you're listening to this on Madden, y'all need to tweak franchise mode a little bit. I don't think that some of these all-star or all these Pro Bowl players are fetching quite the haul you're expecting now, unless you're a quarterback. If you're any other position, you're lucky to get a third rounder at this point. Maybe second if it's a pass rusher.
Yeah.
But, so Duval and the Factory of Sadness are our biggest L's. Of course.
Yeah, I agree. I don't.
What about players though? Who would be your biggest loser for the players?
Man, as far as players though.
You mentioned Cooper Kupp as like
I'm glad you brought that up because that was going to be my loser, I guess, would be Cooper Kupp, and it's just the simple fact of I think that he he signed with the wrong team. I hate the move that Cooper Kupp made to go to the Seahawks. He's basically a JSN, and they already have a Cooper Kupp there. They have JSN. Granted, Seattle does need wide receivers now after losing Tyler Lockett. They released Tyler Lockett, and then they made the trade for DK Metcalf. I don't understand why Cooper Kupp would end up going to Seattle unless he wanted to stay on the West Coast. Hell, go to the Chargers. There's the Chargers needed wide receivers. Personally, I thought that the Steelers would have been the best spot for him, or even the Patriots. The Patriots are starving for wide receivers right now. The Patriots would have made so much sense for Cooper Kupp because he's basically the Wes Welker type. And then Josh McDaniel's system, that's what he likes. He likes those kind of guys. So
I would have went with Pittsburgh over New England just because the fact that you got a more competitive team though, and that's my biggest. When I'm thinking for these older players, I'm thinking of career trajectory, like what's going to be the best for them. And Cooper Kupp and DK Metcalf on the same team.
Yeah, I think the Steelers would have been a great move for them. They could use another wide receiver. George Pickens seems to be up and down, can make some amazing catches, but doesn't seem like he's mature enough to be like their one. DK Metcalf, that's why they bring it in. But I mean, if Cooper Kupp is your considered 3. man, that's a pretty good thing. Now they still got to figure out the quarterback situation, but any quarterback would have been happy to have those on their team. So yeah, I agree with you. I think Cooper Kupp, that one did not make any sense to me at all going to Seattle.
No, so and I would have honestly liked to have seen him in LA. That would have been an amazing fit though too. Him and Lad McConkey helping out Justin Herbert. That you talk about explosive aerial attack. That right there, it would bring back memories for all the Chargers fans out there. The Air Coryell, from back like the '70s, right there for anyone out there that still remembers that.
Yeah, no, that was a very odd decision for him to choose Seattle now. Now I get it that he's going to be fighting for that spot, and they did need wide receivers, and they did sign Sam Darnold, who did have a hell of a year last year. Yeah. If I was Cooper Kupp in that position, that you were free agent, you could have pretty much gone wherever you wanted to, unless everybody knows something we don't, and maybe they think he's washed, or why the Rams just moved off him. They kind of screwed him over early. They brought in Davante Adams, which some could say that's an upgrade in there. I think Davante Adams. It's still Davante Adams. He's still one of the top receivers in the league. Personally, I would have stuck with Cooper Kupp though. Resign Cooper Kupp. It keeps Stafford happy. He's got the intangibles to stay with the team. He likes where he's at. I don't know. You kind of replaced him with the same kind of guy. I think Davante Adams isn't as what he used to be. He still is a great player. Don't get me wrong. And disrespect to Davante Adams at all. Davante Adams, that makes a lot of sense for him. I get it. Moved out. You want to be in LA. What better team to go for? I would have thought if I was Davante, I would have thought, again, the Chargers, if you want to be over that way, or even the San Francisco 49ers, if you want to be on the West Coast.
And he's going to be that number 2 behind Nakua now, though. And I mean, they both kind of play that similar X receiver anyway. He's going to be that outside threat. So, I mean, I guess having 2 really good outside threats that, you need double coverage on one of them, and so you're going to have single coverage on the other. I think it still works. But, yeah, I like the dynamic of having a slot guy, though, in the middle that can kind of really break the defense open like Kupp would always do.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Free agency's been fun, man. It's they got the draft coming around the corner, so a lot of moves still to be made. But yeah, I don't know. There are some teams that didn't make any sense to me. But if I had to pick overall, I would say my winners would be Chris Godwin and the Chicago Bears for free agency.
Yeah, Bucks and Godwin for the winners, losers, another doubler, Myles Garrett and Cleveland, man. Mm-mm.
Makes no sense to me sometimes. All right, man. We're going to go ahead and move from free agency, and we're going to move into the diamond again and get some baseball talk going, man. We have baseball season right around the corner, and I believe they're already starting with the Japanese league. The Japanese series. So we'll go ahead and start with the champions, man. Who do you think is going to take the NL West?
I mean, do I really even have to spend much time on this one? It's going to be the LA Dodgers. It's still they keep making moves. They're basically the new age Yankees at this point. They're the team that everybody hates, but they got the most money. They got all the talent. They're holding all the cards. It's LA's division to lose.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's LA's to lose. I think San Diego is definitely going to be in the mix. They were pretty close last year, but LA just kind of took it over. I think that it's LA's to lose, really, and we all know that. And what's wild about LA is that against what the Yankees were doing back in the day, where they're just buying all the players and stuff, they're doing that, but they're not breaking. They're doing smart baseball here. You can defer these contracts. It's not illegal, and why the hell no one's doing it or haven't been doing it makes no sense. They found the actual loophole in the system that says you can do this, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think it'd be a little. Thinking back to the Bonilla days, but still it worked. Bobby Bonilla was still a good player there. So I think with the Dodgers, they're getting like a bad rep for that, but it's not against the rules. And until they change it, other teams need to wise up and do it too.
I mean, if they three-peat or five-peat, whatever, for the next few years, and they're like in that window, I think they'll take like 5 or 10 years of, oh man, now we're biting the bullet for it. They'll take that. If they win,
oh yeah,
who really cares? I mean, Kevin Kiermaier sold his soul to go out there, so it's like it's all about the rings at this point. And I love the descriptions that you had for each team right there. Absolute power. What are you doing for Arizona? Like, yeah. Gosh, that's hilarious. And then for exciting Coors effects. Now they're gonna need a few Coors out in Denver for that. So for this year,
I agree. Yes, I mean that one's pretty much a no-brainer. I think the Dodgers are the favorite, and
so we're starting off easy. So we're going on a grading scale from easiest to hardest. I see.
Right. So we're starting in the National League as we go right here. All right. So next up we have the NL East. Actually, let me take that back. We actually have the NL East. Great division here, man. Super competitive, very top heavy. And with the new additions of Juan Soto and the Mets, they re-signed Pete Alonso. Who do you got winning the NL East?
I don't have the Mets winning it. I think it's going to be between Philly and Atlanta. I think just looking on the surface, I feel like Atlanta, like they've had a lot of injuries. They've dealt with a lot of issues the last few years, but they do have championship experience. They're kind of riding a little bit from 2021 still, but I think it's going to come between them and Philly. And I think if you have Acuna staying healthy and most of the guys they're not battling injuries like they have been the last few years, I think it's Atlanta's division. But if players start getting hurt, I could see Philly taking this one easy. And the Mets, they put a lot of money into Juan Soto. Great player, great hitter, but defensively, he's awful. So I don't think that in the field, it's going to help them much at all at the plate. Yeah, fine, sure, you got him and Pete Alonso, but they're not great defensively. And again, you got a lot of money wrapped up in one guy who basically does one thing well, and that's hit. So it's different than Shohei, who literally does everything amazing. So I don't think that the Soto move to the Mets is going to pan out quite the way people expected. They got a lot of money, and that's good on them. But I think it's Atlanta's division if they stay healthy. If not, Philly's going to sneak up and take it.
You gotta love whenever you're alive here. My damn Gators is falling off the wall. Oh man, you gotta love someone. I gotta love whenever you're alive, man. Stay strong, my man. Stay strong. All right, yeah. So I'm gonna actually take the Phillies to win this one. I think that Acuna. Got a report this morning saying that I think he's supposed to be back in May. So that's a long time still to go. Could put them in a little bit of a hole. Atlanta's still very good, but I really like what the Phillies are doing. And Bryce Harper hasn't lost a beat, even though he's getting a little bit older. I love what the Phillies are doing, man. So I'm going to take the Phillies to win the NL East.
Respectable.
All right, sticking in the NL, the last division in the NL, we have the NL Central. Who do you got winning this one? This has been a up and down division here, and a lot of teams just haven't really done too much in the postseason as of late.
Yeah, I mean, between the Cubs losing Paredes to Houston, you've got the Brewers, who they've pretty much had the division the last few years, and they've had, off the backs of former Ray Willie Adames. He's been, look at me, just name all of our great players are gone to other teams. That's how we are. But the Brewers, it's been their division for a while. The Cardinals, gosh, the Cardinals have been my second team because my dad's side, but they have really struggled, especially losing Goldschmidt. Honestly, I think it would not surprise me. It's a strange pick for me to say this, but with Paul Skeens on the rise, it wouldn't surprise me maybe, and this is probably going to be the worst division in baseball, but I could see the Pirates possibly surprising people and taking it off the back of a Cy Young caliber season for Paul Skeens.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick, and Skeens seems like he's the real deal. We'll see how he's coming into the sophomore season. He just seems like he's got it all going on, man. But I actually am going to take the Brewers to win this one. The Brewers have been knocking on the door to being great the last few years. Just seems like they've been a little bit injured and haven't been able to pull it out in the end. But I like the Brewers. And they lost their legendary announcer this year, so I think he's going to be calling it from the heavenly gates, and so I think he's going to be having that on there, giving a little bit of angels in the outfield, man. So give me the Brewers to win the NL Central.
I think the only thing that holds me back with them is just again losing Adames, who's been such a big part of that offense. I think that's going to knock them down a peg or two, just a little bit.
Yeah. So you're going Pirates?
Yeah, I'll go Pirates for that one just because I don't think Milwaukee necessarily has enough to hold them off. And again, I think Paul Skeens is going to have a legendary season this year.
He is pretty damn good, man. All right, so we're going to move out to the AL now, and we have the AL Central here. And this one has been an interesting one because some of the teams have just been flat out bad. But everybody makes moves, and they can turn it around in here. Yep. Who do you got winning the AL Central, man?
I got the Tigers dethroning the Guardians this year. Like I said, I was alluding to a little bit with spring training. A lot of these guys have been playing great baseball. The additions, Gleyber Torres has been raking it this year. So again, I know we don't want to talk about spring training stats don't really matter, but it does get you in the zone for the regular season. They've looked great so far. I've liked Torres. Torkelson, he's been hitting torque bombs like we talk about all the time. Like he's gonna torque it. Yeah. He's been dropping bombs. Colt, so many of these guys that they've added, and then Tarek Skubal too. That man, reigning Cy Young Award winner, he has not missed a beat at all. I think the only thing with Detroit that I would say maybe concerns me a little bit is their relievers, but again, you've got the best pitcher in the AL. You've got one of the best. You got probably the best free agent signing in the division with Torres, and then you got a great young offense that I think is dynamic and is ready to show what they can do this year. So I got Detroit in the Motor
Yeah,
City.
it sounds like pretty high on Detroit on there. I'm gonna stick with the Guardians. Don't really like the name, but I like Cleveland. They've been pretty consistently right on the brink of making some big noise in the playoffs. I like Cleveland in this one in the AL Central here, man. Detroit definitely looks like they're pretty good, and Chicago is just hopeless. So if they,
Gosh, yeah.
yeah, if they can get their pitching right, then they might have a chance. But if anybody gets hurt on that team, it is just it's miserable for them. So. Yeah. So you're taking Detroit, and I'm taking Cleveland in this one.
Yep.
All right. So let's move out to the West, and we are going to go with the AL West out here. And this is a fun division.
It is.
I'm going to take the Seattle Mariners. I'm going to take Seattle Mariners in this one. I know Houston's been on top. I like I like the pitching for Seattle, and Julio seems like he's up and coming and going to be the real deal. Let's face it, the A's are a minefield. They're just a mess. So, I mean, clearly they're trying to lose until they get to Las Vegas. So, who do you got in this one?
No, I would tend to agree with you in this division in multiple areas. Again, with Seattle for sure. Like Houston's been kind of the top dog for a while, but I think they're starting to show signs of deterioration. I think that they're showing signs of age. They're slowing down, and I see Seattle as that younger, hungrier, up and coming team. And you got Mr. Randy Rosarina, you got a lot of Julio, you got a lot of those guys on the up and up. And then I will say this division also is fun as well, because I don't know if you noticed, like, we're a little fun a little sports news insertion into baseball here. But did you hear about the controversy with the Texas baseball hats that were pulled?
Yes.
The overlap. If
Yes.
you look at it, most of the teams in this division have something wrong with those overlap ones.
Yeah.
Texas, obviously, in the center there. The Angels, I'll let you guys play with that one a little bit there.
Yeah.
The A's for theirs a few seasons ago, what it spelled out. And then the Houston Astros as well.
Maybe because that obviously everybody's been engulfed in free agency and stuff. Explain what happened, actually, because I don't think everybody knows exactly what happened.
So for everybody that does not know, and this really started with the A's. Of course it did. Why wouldn't it? The A's got in trouble a few years ago. I think, no, last year actually. Last year they had New Era released some hats that were designed a certain way. It had like a bunch of the logos or whatever. And with the A's, the way the logo was positioned, it looked like it had the giant A and then two S's that were off to the side that spell a certain word. Obviously, y'all know what I'm saying. Then, to cap that off, pun intended there, this offseason they released the overlap logo. So they had the team's, center logo here, and then they had kind of like the city or whatever spelled out behind it. For the Rangers, obviously you got the T in the center, and then Texas behind it. Well, it overlaps the X, so it has a vulgar word in Spanish. Basically, it's spelled out. Even you go to the Angels, I don't have to necessarily. You got a big A in the center there in the middle of Angels. I don't think I need to explain further. The Houston Astros, you have an H in the center of Astros overlapping that. I don't think I need to spell that out for you. So, New Era. Take more than 5 minutes. Look at these hat designs.
I don't know how they even did this. How it went through multiple people that didn't get this, that approved it. Like, yep, that sounds good.
Yeah, it's like, I like that. This is what's gonna sell. Like, for the Rays, it makes a little bit of sense. But even the Boston one, I saw it. I was like, what is this? Like Boban, like Boban Marjanovic. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this does not look good.
Yeah, the A's and the fact that they've been pretty bad and they're going, and it looks like they're calling the anals. Like, come on,
yeah,
man.
they I mean, we will call a spade a spade. Like the A's and the Angels have both been playing pretty much that style of baseball. So,
yeah,
but
man.
I mean, and the Astros are cheaters, so it's fair to call them that.
Yeah, it's we're trying to keep it PG on here. If you get a sec and you want to know what we're talking about a little bit more, just research hat debacles of baseball or New Era mess ups.
New Era overlap cap controversy. That's the name. The name of the series is the overlap cap. So just look that up. And it was so bad with Texas, they literally had to pull it within like a day of advertising. That's the other thing. This made it to print. This made it to the MLB. So like,
I almost want to buy some of them now.
Yeah, it's like, number one, who in New Era thought this was good? Number two, in MLB, who thought this was good? Like, if I'm MLB, I'm like, I'm sorry, no, you're not putting this on the website.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's hilarious, but at the same time, it's like maybe New Era. You need to stop focusing on pumping out so many different hats. You need to stop and think: is this something that we should go for? Should we take 10 minutes to look at this and see, like, I don't think so.
I don't think so. All right, and last but not least, we got our division that's near and dear to our hearts. We have the AL East. All right, big guy, who you taking in the AL East?
I mean, I was leaning towards the Yankees, but then Garrett Cole got injured, so it's
That's major. That is so. I never want to say heartbreaking because it has to do with the Yankees, but that is heartbreaking for the Yankees, man.
And we'll say it for G Mike since he's not here to defend his team, so it's heartbreaking for them. But I think honestly now it might become kind of a two. It might give the Orioles a shot now of kind of coming back into the fold, claiming that AL East crown. I got to say it's between one of those two teams. As much as I would love to be optimistic about the Rays, they're playing in a minor league stadium this year. There is a lot of optimism for a lot of the younger players. Junior Caminero, Carson Williams at shortstop coming up potentially. Getting Shane McClanahan back is going to be big, but I pretty much have this summed up between Yankees and O's. And I think because of the Cole injury, unless they make a big trade somehow to get a prime ace pitcher, I don't think it's going to be their year. I think that Orioles is going to come in and kind of take advantage of an opportunity.
Yeah, I clearly am a Red Sox fan. That's my team. I'm actually not going to take the Red Sox this year. I do like the moves that they made. It's funny. It's funny how things go. Yeah, Bregman, signing Bregman is a great deal for the Red Sox. Yeah. He just always, to me, like just outside, he was just a guy who just wanted to punch in the face kind of guy. But now he's on your team. Go Bregman, baby. Let's go. We always wanted you here.
Yep.
Anyways, no, I like what the Red Sox did. I think that the Red Sox can be contenders. I think it's going to be a two-way race between the Red Sox and who I'm picking, the Orioles. I think the Orioles are going to take the AL East this year. They have a great young nucleus, and they've been knocking on the door, except the Yankees just been the powerhouse lately. And I think that Garrett Cole injury is going to be major for the Yankees. And it's too late to really replace him with anybody that's going to be the level of player there was in money-wise. For once, the Yankees have to look at that money-wise because they gave Garrett Cole that gigantic contract. So I think that's going to be a slight issue for them majorly. But I'm actually going to take the Orioles to win the AL East.
What are your thoughts, by the way, on the with Bregman being signed now? He's got the relationship now with Devers and the Red Sox. That's interesting.
Honestly, I think it's going to fizzle itself out. I think that Devers was being young. I mean, he's a young kid, and so I think he felt threatened. He didn't want to move positions. Surprisingly, Bregman's been more of the adult, and not surprisingly, but he is a little bit older than them. But Bregman's been handling it pretty well. Bregman's like, look, I'll play wherever you want me to play. There is no controversy. I have nothing against Devers. And Devers has kind of backtracked a little bit on it, so I don't think it's going to linger into the season. I just think Devers was trying to posture himself as I'm the face of this team, and you're not going to take my spot, and so I didn't like it, as going into the season. You don't want to see any kind of animosity or anything like that between players, but I think it's going to work itself out to the point of that they'll figure it out. I don't think it's going to be lingering later on, but I think that both players, Bregman handled it really well because he is kind of brash, and Bregman is definitely not a back away from how he feels kind of guy, but he made it pretty clear, like, I don't have any problems. I'll play wherever you guys want me to play. I'm just happy to be here.
But I actually prefer Bregman at third just because I think he's the better fielder of the two. So
100% agree.
And so that's for me.
The better defender.
Yeah, I'd say just either make Devers your DH or just stick him at first. Do something like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Devers just doesn't see it that way. So until
he's on the bigger side, right? Like Devers is a bigger player. So it's like Paredes at the Rays. Like I felt like he would have been a better fit moving him over to first base because he's getting bigger and so like he's a slugger. So same thing, just move him. He's a bigger guy. He's still athletic. He can still contribute, but it's like move him though to a position where he's not going to have to be relied upon as much for his athleticism as Bregman would be.
Right, and if you think about it too, like for Devers, I think he's looking at it the wrong way. Especially that he's moving to DH, you have the opportunity to be the second coming of Poppy, which is still Boston lore. Like everybody loved Poppy there. And his defense wasn't that great. He played first base whenever he had to, but his big thing was hitting. And Devers is a power hitter. He can hit the ball, crush the ball. So if you just move over to the DH there's no disrespect in it. And the DH isn't looked at like it used to be, where it's kind of like, oh, you can't really do anything else. That's why you're in the DH. Now the DH is a major thing. Now all DHs are getting in the Hall of Fame now. I think that he needs to kind of maybe look at it a little bit differently, especially playing for a team, being Hispanic, and you had Poppy in that position that everybody loved. You could be just basically a second coming of him. So I think he needs to reconsider that, to be honest with you.
Yep, I agree.
All right, so who was your pick in this one for the AL list? I'm sorry.
Orioles.
Orioles, yeah. So we're both taking the Orioles. Interesting. All right, cool.
Yep.
All right, well, that is our division winners. Now we have to get to the big game itself. So there's only 2 teams you can pick, obviously. Who is winning the NL this year?
I got the Dodgers. It's still theirs to lose. Again, Philly, I think will give them a good fight. Pittsburgh, I don't think that they would be one of those again. They'd probably get bounced.
You're pretty high on Pittsburgh this year.
I'm really high on Paul Skeens. I think honestly, he can be one of those situations where he can kind of carry the team. Because again, also the division is not. I don't see the division as being that good. So I feel like any team that can get to 85 wins is going to get the division. And I think having Paul Skeens there gets you a quarter of the way in terms of wins. I think he can get 20 wins easy this year. So. I think Pittsburgh can do it, but I think the team that's going to have the best punch for LA is going to be either Philly or Atlanta, but it's not going to be close.
Yeah, it was kind of tough for me too. I think it is going to be the Dodgers as well. It's surprise, spoiler alert, obviously, surprise, but I agree with you. I think the Phillies are right there with them, and it's just going to come down to health. I mean, whoever's healthy. But I really like the Phillies a lot, so that'd be my runner-up. Or wouldn't be surprised if they make it kind of thing. So we're both picking the Dodgers for obvious reasons. They just keep on adding, and not subtracting at all. So I think the Dodgers will win the NL. But Philly's gonna be right on their heels, if not making it in. So, all right. So who do you got for the AL this year?
I'm tempted to go with Baltimore just because you're in the AL East. It's always considered the toughest division, but I'm going to lean towards Seattle for this one, actually. I think, you have, we picked them to win their division. They've got a very young and hungry squad. I think, again, in this kind of weaker AL this year, I think that they have what it takes to kind of put it all together. And plus, you make the playoffs, you've got Randy Arozarena in the postseason. I think that's dude, you're almost a guaranteed spot in the World Series just because of the production he does, whether it's stealing home, record for most home runs and hits in a postseason. I think that if you get there, he's going to take you over the top for sure. And I think that's, and combined with Rodriguez and combined with the rest of the young squad they have there, I think that'll be enough to carry him to, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that would be their first World Series appearance. Am I wrong?
I was just thinking the same thing. I think that might be there. I think they had that one year where they had the most wins, and then they didn't make it to the World Series that year. I don't think. I think they lost in the division series or something.
I was about to say, my boy Michael Bullock's a huge. If you're watching this, Michael, I got you guys this year. He's a huge Mariners fan. So, but yeah, I think they have all the tools to make it happen. And again, you've got probably one of the best postseason performers on your team leading the charge.
Yeah, so I'm going to. I liked what you said originally. I'm going to actually take Baltimore this year. I think Baltimore has got what they need. They're young and they're hungry. They've been right there knocking on the door, like I was saying, for the last few years. And Yankees, I think, are going to be down, so I think they're going to win that division as well as make it all the way through. I agree with you. I think the AL is a little down this year as well. But yeah, I'm going to go Baltimore in the World Series against the Dodgers, man.
Yeah.
Which will be a pretty cool series, man. Some classic teams in there. Yeah. I got Dodgers, Orioles, and you got Seattle and Dodgers, right?
Yep. West Coast matchup.
Yeah, there we go. All right, well, that will do it up for the divisions and World Series. And we're going to go ahead and jump into something really fun. And if anybody's out there listening or watching or anything like that, please jump in on this one because I'm sure we're going to be wrong and forgetting somebody. But we are going to do an any era baseball draft. We're basically just going to fill up the card. Snake draft, any order, however you want to do it. We're basically the only little rule we're going to have in there is having 2 pitchers. We're going to have obviously a starter and a closer. Yes. So anybody got any comments or anything like that, go ahead and choose. Now, this is just our team, not saying they're the greatest in these positions or anything along those lines. Just thought it'd be a lot of fun to try this out here. So we are going to start behind the plate with the catcher. Okay. BC, you're up first. Who are you picking for your catcher?
Oh man, I don't want to pick first for catch because I want to pick for first base. I feel like I
Oh,
already know.
well, actually, never mind. I take that back. I'm breaking my own rules here. It is just a draft. It's a
I'd
draft.
say, man.
Pick whoever you want.
Set me up, bro.
We're picking it. We're picking out however you want to do this.
All right.
Your first overall pick.
Gosh, they're again. It's just how based on the availability, I think at each position, how I want to do it. I'm gonna go ahead and pick first base. Might be a controversial pick. One of my favorite players, Albert Pujols. Give it to a multi-time Gold Glover, Silver Slugger MVP. So first base, give me Big Al.
Man, I was hoping you were going to kind of forget about him because when I was looking this stuff up, I was like,
man. A lot of
people, I think Pujols kind of gets forgotten about a little bit sometimes, just as the years go on. All right, well, I got to match you with something here, so I'm going to take Shohei, man. I think Shohei,
Dang it.
Shohei to me, I think is arguably the greatest baseball player I've ever seen.
Are you doing pitcher or are you doing DH or are you doing both?
I'm going to put him in the DH. I'm going to put him in the DH because you can put him at a pitcher if you need to, as a reliever if you need to as well. So I'm going to actually take Shohei Ohtani for my first overall pick and my DH spot.
I am going to make you pay for that one. All right. Let me see. For my let me go ahead and start pulling from the well a little bit. I'm gonna go for left field. I think you already know who I'm going with. Give me Big Barry. Even steroids and stuff aside, dude before that was a 40-40 threat, multi-time Gold Glove, multi-time Silver Slugger. So give me Mr. 40-40. Before Shohei was 50-50, he was 40-40. So
fair enough. I will take that from you, and I will move over to center field and take Mr. Backwards Hat, the coolest, best swing I've ever seen, Ken Griffey Jr. Give me my guy, Ken Griffey Jr.
Okay. All right, let me see. So let me think. I'm trying to also base it off of where I think that I can get still some good value and everything. I am going to go to right field and give me Ichiro.
Damn it. Took Ichiro.
Yep. I need a guy that if I have a leadoff guy, a guy that I know is going to get on and can steal bases and also be a great Gold Glove out there, has a cannon. Yeah, man.
I was hoping.
I'm telling you, I'm going to make you pay, bro. I seen your one Japanese player and raised you another, sir.
Yeah, damn it, man. You got me on that one, dude. I was hoping you kind of were going to overlook him because Ichiro is so good, and the fact that he had to fight and prove why he should have been a Hall of Famer, that somebody didn't vote him as a Hall of Famer, is ridiculous to me, man.
Oh yeah, there's so many guys that should have been unanimous Hall of Famers. So Albert Pujols is one of those guys. He better be up there with another guy. So.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. It's pretty ridiculous that he is not. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get my pitcher. It's one of my all-time favorites. It's going to be Randy Johnson.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
That was so tough to go. I was gonna take Greg Maddux, but I went Randy Johnson just because I just growing up, I loved watching Randy Johnson, man. The big unit out there, man. It was just awesome to see.
All right. Well, I am going to then go ahead and lock down my closer and get the greatest of all time, the only unanimous Hall of Famer, Mariano Rivera.
Good pick, man. That's good to get and close out the game. I'm trying to write these down as well so that I don't make sure I don't.
I know that's what I did. I literally just got a blank form. I'm like, yo.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like sorry, financial relief scam thing you're trying to send me the mail on. I don't take the thing seriously. All right.
Yeah. All right. Well then, yeah. Damn. That was a good pick up there, man. You got him on there for me. So you know what? I'm gonna stick with pitching, even though he can. Little rule change here, maybe. Let's just ask him kind of on the fly here.
Okay.
Do they have to be a closer, or can we just have a pitcher playing in relief?
You can have they need to have been a reliever, which means like it can be a full-time closer, or it could have been a guy that started as a starter, kind of went to closer like John Smoltz, but they have to have been a closer at some point or a reliever. So
okay, all right, fair enough. I was trying to, I was trying to throw a fast one in there real quick, but yeah, damn, that throws it a little bit off for me on that one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's fine. I'm probably drafting him a little bit early, and again, this one is just my going off of my picks here. Not saying he's the greatest of all time or anything along those lines, but I'm going to take Dustin Pedroia at second base for me. That's been my all-time favorite player besides Ken Griffey. But I love Dustin Pedroia doing it for the little guys, man. So I'm taking Dustin Pedroia at second base for me.
All right. I am going to go ahead and go behind the plate here. And at catcher, I'm going to say give me Johnny Bench. Great bat, multi-time Gold Glover as well. I'm trying to do a lot of balance between hitting and defense. And Johnny Bench, I think he had like 10 Gold Gloves, not the most. I know, I'm sure, you might, there's other guys, Pudge and Yachty, that have more, but he also gives me the bat to go along with it. So, Reds legend, Johnny Bench.
Not bad, man. All right, so I'm going to move over to the hot corner and take my third baseman. I'm going to take Chipper Jones.
Okay, a bold one for sure. I'm trying to go with players that I know, positions that I know you haven't picked yet. Because now I'm starting now I got like second base and third base as like locks now for me. So the only one that I am not sure about is shortstop, because you've got so many guys that you could put there. You know what, Skirt? He might not have had the best defense, and he might not have had the name recognition, or he might not have had like the World Series of like a. Gosh, I don't want him to mess up my thing, but you know what? Screw it. Give me Cal Ripken Jr. at short.
Great pick.
Yeah, because
you're obviously going to have the availability with him.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing. Like, I don't want to go just with a guy that's got a lot of World Series or something like that. I want to go based on their on-field impact too. He had Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers. Like, he was just all around great shortstop. So with Jeter, the only thing I didn't want to get with him was just his defense, which I think he won a Gold Glove, but he was pretty suspect there, and I want to make sure I got somebody that can cover my bases. So,
all right, so I'm gonna move back out to the outfield and give me Ricky Henderson. I like what I'm building this roster here, because I can have Shohei, Griffey, and Ricky Henderson all stealing bases for me. So you got to be on your toes the whole time. So give me Ricky Henderson in left field.
That's a good one. I like that. I am going to, because now I've got pretty much all my positions set. I'm going to go ahead and make this one hit a little close to home for you. My DH, give me Big Papi.
Why'd you do that to me?
Dude, I didn't want to wait until you got to first base so you could say, oh, well, he played first base too. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get that knife and twist a little bit.
Smart move. I like it. I like it a lot. It hurts, but I'll allow.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so I'll go ahead and move over to first base and give me Joey Votto. I'm going to pick Joey Votto for first base, man. Joey Votto is always and still one of the top players in there. And he's just got power for days, man. Give me Joey Votto, man.
Okay. Mr. 400 himself. I'm going to go to third base, and I'm going to go ahead and get myself Mike Schmidt from the Phillies. Phillies legend, Mike Schmidt.
Nice.
Good power. Great power and great defense as well. So I like guys that don't just do, unless for my DH, that can do, like, I like guys that can do more than one thing. So I like versatility.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and lock down with Randy Johnson pitching. He needs someone to throw it to, so I'm going to go ahead and lock it down and give me Mike Piazza. My catcher.
Probably best offensive catcher of all time. I like it. For my center fielder, this is going to be I got a couple more throwbacks for the older heads watching. Center field, give me the Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays.
Not bad. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go for my right fielder. Give me Hammer and Hank Aaron, man. Give me Hank Aaron.
That is a good one. All right. So for my second base, I'm going to go with another Reds legend, I believe. Maybe Phillies, I forget. It's a Red team. Joe Morgan. Also great play-by-play commentator or color commentator as well.
Fantastic critic, man. All right, so I think we are pretty much we have to get one more, right? It's gonna be our we got one more spot.
Yep.
Okay. Fair enough on that one. Let me go ahead and get I need to find a reliever.
Yep.
So my reliever. What's that?
There are some good ones out there.
Yeah, I know. That was throwing me off with the. I was trying to figure out, if I could just throw anybody in there, or
there's
if it has
one
to be
guy in particular that I know of that if you get it would the second best closer of all time. Come on, you can't forget this guy.
I mean, you got who are you thinking?
I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna let you figure it out. I'm gonna see if you can. He has the second most saves of all time. The guy that Mariano passed.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to go classic here. I remember just watching him. He was my dude. I'm going to go with Jonathan Papelbon, man. Give me Jonathan Papelbon to close it out.
You sold on that one, man. You sold. How do you not remember Mr. Hell's Bells himself? Or no, was it Hell's Bells that he played? He played one of an AC/DC song, but Trevor Hoffman.
Damn. I couldn't remember.
Padres legend, Trevor Hoffman.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was hoping you get it, but all right. So for my final pick, my starting pitcher out of all the guys I can choose from, the Nolan Ryans, the Jacob deGroms, the Greg Maddixes, I could choose all those guys, but I won't. I want to pick a guy that is near and dear to my heart, near and dear to my dad's heart, his favorite player of all time, from St. Louis Cardinals, Bullet Bob Gibson, probably one of the most intimidating pitchers of all time. And had one of the greatest seasons of all time. I think the lowest ERA in a season in the modern era for a starter, if I'm not mistaken, like 1.12. Cardinals legend, Bullet Bob Gibson.
Man, I can't wait for the internet to get all over us and tell us how wrong we are for these picks. But
Do it.
We're going to go ahead and do a recap real quick, just because there were a lot of picks. Again, now these were just making a team. Doesn't necessarily say they're the greatest. Just if you wanted a team, these are the guys we would have on there. You can do these. I'm sure you could probably do this 5 different times and get 5 different players. I know baseball's been around for so long. But having said that, Mr. BC, give me your lineup card.
All right. So going in order from
it doesn't. We don't have to necessarily do it in batting order.
No batting order. Just do your lineup card from catcher to closer. So starting off with my catcher, I've got Johnny Bench at first base. I've got Albert Pujols. Second base, I got Joe Morgan. Third base is Cal Ripken Jr. Third base, I got Mike Schmidt. Left field, Barry Bonds. Center field, Willie Mays. Right field, Ichiro. Designated hitter is going to be David Ortiz. My starting pitcher, Bob Gibson. And then my closer to close it out in the 9th inning, Mariano Rivera.
Not bad. All right, a tip of the cap for you if we're talking baseball, All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just go at a little bit out of order here, but I'm just going to go ahead and name these guys off here. All right, so my center fielder is going to be Ken Griffey Jr. My starting pitcher is going to be Randy Johnson. My DH is going to be Shohei Ohtani. My second baseman is going to be Dustin Pedroia. My catcher is going to be Mike Piazza. My third baseman is going to be Chipper Jones. My left fielder is going to be Ricky Henderson. First base is going to be Joey Votto. Right field is going to be Hank Aaron. And my closer is going to be Jonathan Papelbon. Man, that's good, man. I can't wait for, like I was saying before, I can't wait for the internet to come on here and just roast us for what we did wrong or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, leave comments and come up with your own for this one, man. It could be any time, any players.
Tell us about how we missed out. Oh, I remember Cy Young back in my day, or Babe Ruth would smash all these guys right now.
Exactly.
Come at us, man. Like I'm just giving I think mostly I wanted to stick to more modern players because I think the game has evolved and changed a lot, especially since the early days. I don't want to be unfair to those greats that paved the way.
Yeah.
So it's like if we want to go back, we could always do like a round 2 where we pick guys from the 1886, I think, when MLB first started, to like 1950. We could do that. We can throw in your Babe Ruths, your Jackie Robinsons. I'm all for it, but I wanted to kind of stick to more of the modern game in the last 50 to 75 years, just to kind of give it kind of a fair assessment. I think
baseball has so many players that have been playing for so long that you could easily, like I was saying before, we could do this 5 different times and easily come up with another lineup. But I like my team, and I feel like we take you down.
Oh man, I just love my team because of the balance, dude. That's the thing. Like we've got fielding, we've got hitting, we've got some speed as well. Like
so, I have stealing and power. That was what I was going with.
But see, I got you. I got that's the thing. Like I like versatility, man. Like that. Like I said, if you got guys that can hit well and they can field, and on top of that, like I said, you got Barry Bonds in his 40 years. I'm not talking about steroids, Barry Bonds. I'm talking like mid-90s before
skinny
the
Bonds.
Hey, he was hitting 40-40, so I'll take that. And then you got Willie Mays. That's another one of those guys. Ichiro as a leadoff dude. That's just my outfield. So, but I'm also I'm
Bo Jackson somewhere in there. Like there's.
I'm just glad Bob Gibson fell to me. That was the one I was like, if you would have picked him, I'd have been like, sorry, Dad.
Yeah. No, you're safe. You're safe with old Bob Gibson, man.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, I think that is going to wrap it up for us for our show for today on a Saturday. I had to give a quick shout out. My Florida Gators are playing today. As you can see, hopefully this isn't indicative, with this falling down, isn't indicative of the rest of the season. But go Gators, man. They got a hell of a basketball team. Let's go ahead and wrap up this SEC and make it all the way to the tournament. I did predict at least a Final Four a couple episodes ago for bold predictions. So go Gators. Also, just want to give a shout out to G-Mike. Get feeling a little bit better, man. We'll be back full strength next week.
Sure.
So we appreciate everything you guys do, and please give us a like and subscribe. BC, you got anything for the people?
Just want to give a shout out to my USF Bulls. Going to be going there in the next hour or so to do some PA for baseball. Hopefully we get that dub. Aside from that, got Detroit Tiger spring training that's wrapping up here. Been having such a great time with the games. Shout out to all the Tigers Vision there, the whole crew for that, making it such an enjoyable experience. And just super thankful and appreciative for all the opportunities to get to kind of live the dream. So, yeah, man, it's been good. God's been good.
Thank you very much for all that, man. That sounds like a lot of fun, man. And please, guys, like we were saying before, please give us a like and subscribe. Especially with this last one, man. I really want to hear some comments out there about how long or what you guys would change, man.
Tell us we suck.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So, all right, well, that's going to wrap it up for Views from the Stands. I am Steve Brennan and Mr. BC. We will see you guys next week.
See ya.